Hello again.
I must tell you, I'm much more excited every time when we are meeting for our short videos on auditing. How do you feel about them?
Oh, no, I'm really enjoying it. It's good to share my experience with people.
So today, I'm going to ask you how to conduct an audit.
Right. So I think if we think about it in the context of ISO 9001 or IATF, really there's key phases to the audit process. So the input is that I need to know which audit to do. Yeah, which process to audit, which manufacturing process. So that would be the input to my process. Then what I need to do is to do some preparation. And I think many auditors don't do adequate preparation. They just run off and ask a few random questions. But I think if we're really going to do a good audit, we have to do preparation. So that may be reviewing the relevant standard, in this case, ISO 9001 and IATF, to ascertain what are the relevant requirements that we're going to include in the scope of the audit. We need to understand if there's any customer specific requirements. We need to review the organization's own quality management system. So it could be the process description. We also need to look at internal and external performance data. And we need to look at any information that might give us an idea about any risk that could or has affected the process. And the opportunity is then that we review that information to come up with some very focused audit questions. So when we start the audit, we are very prepared. We have a set of audit questions that are prioritized on the areas of the highest risk. Then an audit really is, let's go out and gather objective evidence by asking questions. And the key is we should ask as many open audit questions as we can. So we should restrict the use of closed questions. Do you control your documents? No. Or yes. Yeah. We should restrict the use of questions that would lead to a yes or a no answer. Because the whole purpose of an audit is we need to gather evidence. Once we've gathered the evidence, we have to evaluate it objectively. So we look at the evidence and we compare it against the audit criteria, the standards, the organization own process, and customer specific requirements. And then we have to make decisions about, is the evidence conforming, or is the evidence non-conforming, or is the evidence conforming, but we believe that the process can be improved? So that could identify opportunities for improvement. Once we've gathered all the evidence and we've followed any audit trails, the auditor is then responsible for writing the audit report based upon the evidence that's collected. So, yeah, we've talked before about plan, do, check, act. Actually, the audit process is very much like that. So that's really an outline of the generic audit process. Sounds simple, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds actually, for experienced auditor, it's really just jumping into the role and just doing it. But you've said something very important. Everyone shall prepare before going for an audit. Yes, it's not like you're jumping. It might be easy if you're experienced because you know the requirements of the international standard, for instance. But what about internal requirements, which are in some procedures? Yes, this would be very appreciated to prepare before this audit. Yes.
Yeah, and one more point I'd like to add on that. Whenever I'm doing audit training, people say, okay, Paul, if I've got 8 hours to do an audit, for example, how much of that time should I spend in preparation? My answer to them is a minimum of 1/3 of the audit time. That's only my personal view, but maybe 2 or 3 hours of the time that's available, I would spend doing that preparation, not 5 minutes, not 1 hour. My ballpark figure is, particularly for people new to auditing, it's really important to dedicate that time to come up with some really good focused audit questions. Then you will do a good audit. You won't do a random audit, you'll do a really good structured audit.
Yeah, we also have to remember in automotive that customer specific requirements can be very comprehensive, yes?
Yeah.
And you can't just forget to audit them, because then you could easily get a non-conformity by a third-party auditor, yeah?
Yeah, oh no, absolutely.
Mhm.
And as you said, it's very complex. As an auditor, we don't have to check every line of every customer specific,
Of
but you're
course.
absolutely right. We must take a representative sample to make sure that any customer specifics are effectively implemented.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul, for answering me this question. Let's meet in 1 week for another question. Thank you very much.
No, look forward to it.